Evening.
Good evening.
Episode number 5, Through the Nets is Bigger Than Basketball. This week, we're talking about reclassification. But before we jump in with our guests, we're going to introduce ourselves. Starting with me, I'm Bae Bush.
Woo!
Sonya Waters Thomas.
Should I go?
Jump in.
I'm Sunshine.
Lauren Bailey,
Tiffany Fuller.
Terry, first name Terry, last name Terry.
All right, so we're going to introduce our guests.
Okay.
Today, we have two guests in the house tonight. One is, we have Twig Hill, coach of Pershing High School.
Go boys in the
building, blowing goat.
And we also
Got too
have
many here today.
Hey.
Kevin
Too many.
Glenn in the house.
Hey, Kevin
He's a
Glenn.
professional football player.
How y'all doing?
Welcome.
Welcome.
So we're gonna start off this evening, and first we want you to introduce yourself, guys.
Oh, I'm Twig Hill, Sean Twig Hill. Played at Pershing 92.
Doughboy.
Current Doughboy for life. Current head coach.
Put your headphones on. Sorry.
My bad. Current head coach over at Pershing, and it just feel good to be here.
Once a doughboy, always a doughboy.
Thank y'all.
Oh, he said thank you. Like,
Right. All right, next.
All right, Kevin Glenn. I'm originally from Detroit. Went to St. Martin Deporres High School. I'm glad to be on the show. Currently, I'm a professional football player with the CFL. I've been playing for 18 years.
whoop, whoop, whoop.
Hey,
And your body still looks good. I mean, props to your wife, but I'm just saying.
I'm the only player in CFL history to be affiliated with all 9 teams, too.
Hey.
So I'm a Jeopardy trivia question on
Boom.
the CFL.
Hit that back.
That's the one I'm get right.
Okay, we're gonna start off the show saying the topic is reclassification.
The pros and the cons.
Pros and the cons.
What is reclassification?
What is to you? What we anybody can answer that.
Yeah.
What is reclassification?
Define it.
So
Define.
from what I know, from what I heard, is when you hold your kid back in a grade so that he can be better at basketball the next year. That's what I heard. That's all I know. That's as much as I know.
But it's not
Does
just about
anybody know the
basketball.
real
Okay,
definition? Like
That's her.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I know. That's Terry's.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what. Is that what you did?
Uh-uh.
Well, I was asking, what is the real definition of reclassification? Like, I know what people use it for. You know what I'm saying? But what is the real definition of reclassification, so that our viewers know?
Yeah.
Google.
Yeah,
I'm
let's
looking it
keep
up.
it
I'm
real.
looking it
There
up.
you go. There you go.
On the 100. Keep it moving. In the meantime,
Everybody
we
get
get
theirs.
the actual
Okay,
official
so
definition.
you
Let's
guys
go
have-
around the table and
Okay.
ask, what's
Okay.
your perspective on reclassification? Well, at least your actual definition.
I have the definition.
You got it?
Yeah.
Yes. Reclassification is the changing of an object or a concept from one classification to another. This may refer to reclassification accounting.
Now do
It
reclassification
says-
basketball.
It says assignment to a different class or category.
Yeah.
So can we get a basketball definition of it or a sports definition of it, because it's one out there.
Make a repeated grade.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just an act of retainment.
Okay.
Okay.
So what's the purpose of it? What's the purposes of it? Because you said it's more than one. So
It
tell
is.
me what it is. I
Well,
don't understand.
Well, I had the luxury. We got 9 kids, so
Woohoo!
we
Same baby mama, same baby daddy.
Hey.
supposedly. Yeah, but
First of all, y'all
This is my first time meeting you, but I've seen you before, and when I seen the game the other night,
exactly what
I
you
knew
did.
who your 2 kids were. That's right. But we had the luxury to actually, I wouldn't call it like an experiment because I don't want to look at my children as an experiment, but we did, with the early ones, we didn't reclass, but with the later ones, we did. So we know, well, I think we came up with, it works for, like, if you need the maturity and all of that stuff. It ain't got nothing to do with, see, everybody think that you it's just about basketball and that stuff. Like sometimes, mostly with our kids, it wasn't. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't about basketball. It was more about the maturity. And you know, if you get down to talking about bullying and stuff like that, a kid that comes into high school a little older,
Right.
less like to get bullied. You know what I'm saying? So it's just the whole thing, just confidence and stuff like that. So reclassing, to me, you know what I'm saying, it helped our kids.
So it helped them to not get bullied.
No, it's just the whole maturity level. You know what I'm saying?
Maturity.
Everything. You know what I'm saying? Even
Longer
from playing
maturity.
basketball to school and all that stuff, even the distractions. You know what I'm saying? That goes around with a kid coming in at 13, 14 is easily manipulated by older kids. You know what I'm saying? And then it tends to follow. But a kid that already, you know what I'm saying, that's a little bit older, they can catch their crowd pretty much easier than a kid that can be manipulated. So that's what, you know what I'm saying, we figured. We did the experiments on that.
It's funny that you say that because me and my wife had this discussion all the time. My wife is an educator. She's a kindergarten teacher. And she makes a point to try to influence parents to hold their kids back in kindergarten. So you don't have to wait till he's in the 7th or 8th grade, even if they didn't play sports because of the maturity level.
Yes.
You get some of those, because I think it's a date now that they cut it off now. It used to be like December.
December
I think you may have fallen to that
It's,
category too because of your
December
birthday.
1st, right?
December
Yeah, I
first.
did.
It
I
used to
did.
be December 1st, but
Yes, I
now
did.
it's
It's
September.
It's
It's September
September.
1st.
Right.
Right, and my wife was saying that the later kids, they tend to excel more in kindergarten, and that helps them throughout the course of their education.
That's why they
You know?
changed the dates.
Right, and so some parents, they force their kids. You know, they're 4 and they won't turn 5 until maybe March. Those are the kids that should be using this reclassification thing to their advantage, even if they don't play sports. So I see there's a lot of pros and cons. I think, like you said, I'm one that if you do it, I would rather you do it early than doing it late, because then it helps the kid.
Right, because I was going to say, if you do it earlier, then at least from a peer standpoint, because if you do it later on in life, the same kids that your child or children went to school with, you know, that's when the bullying actually occurs.
True.
Yeah.
You know, they talking about, they think that, they done flunked the grade or something like that. Now you got to teach your kid how to handle something like that. But if it's necessary, as far as reclassification or retainment, then yes, I would suggest you do it early on, because now the kid is minimum chance of them actually being affected.
Right.
So I think outside of the socialization aspect of it, I'm for maturity, because my son was, me and my husband was in pure disagreement.
You reclassified your kid.
Yes, and I'm
And what-
still
and what
against
grade?
it.
What did you put?
Well, it's later on. If we would have thought about it, but it wasn't a thought then.
Right.
You know,
What
you don't
grade,
think
though?
about
What
it.
grade was it?
7.
Okay.
Now, outside of that, because I'm worried about my kid, it's not about me. It's not about my husband. It's about my kid and how he felt about it and how he feels about it. Because yes, his peers have since moved on, and then yes, what do you do about it? And I always ask him, like, do you have any ill intent? Well, not necessarily ill intent. How do you feel about it? Because I don't want him to have any resentment toward the decision that was made for him. Because it is. Now you got to talk about a kid who's, you know, taller than a lot of his peers.
Yeah.
People walking up to him say, "Damn, you 14." And I have to go say, "Yes, he is." And then now I am, you know, defending him.
Right.
And then it puts him in a different space. So that's something that he has to consistently rebut regarding that. But there are pros and cons to it. I'm still on the fence about it, because from a social aspect, that's what it was for. And he's still upset. Like, Jesus.
So Coach Twig, you said you reclassed more than one of your kids. Was
Yeah.
all of them good decisions after it's gone through or whatever's
Yeah.
happened? Was all of that good decisions?
Well, when it worked for the first one, it was no brainer with the rest.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And to be honest with you, I think we have a kid that's ahead of you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I can tell you that that's hurting her right now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And just like, you know, back in the days, I want to be promoted, I want to be double. But at the same time, it's like, okay, now you being advanced and you're not mature enough to be advanced with the kids that's around you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And see, it's like, she's a senior. She's 16. She's 16. She's a senior. Now, she just turned 16. She's a senior.
Right.
So now she'd be graduating, but at the same time, by us having a big family, you have to have thick skin in our house because they're gonna talk about you, and they, it's just like that. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
But she so have to have that luxury to have a big family. But what about the ones who don't have it?
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like I got a son that don't play basketball at all. He don't want to sweat. Period.
That should have been my son.
Yeah, he don't play. So when it came down to him, you know what I'm saying, it was like, okay, whatever you want to do, you know what I'm saying? But when it come down to the ones that was like athletically inclined, you know what I'm saying, I looked at their body and see with me, I've been training my kids since, I mean, they was running cross country at 3 or 4 years old.
They was out the
Literally,
womb.
you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's like, if y'all watch boxing or whatever, you know what I'm saying, a trainer job is to tell you when you're ready.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I looked at them, and at the time, you're not ready. You know what I'm saying? So I made a decision as an investment in what I put into them, and she's all education. She don't care about too much, she rolled with me. You know what I'm saying? She bought the books, this, that, and the other, but that's like, okay, well, look, I want to hold them back. So the first kid we held back was Hoss, right? Hoss at Hanley International. And Chauncey was there at the time. No, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't. He came out.
He came after. But Chauncey went
He
to
was
went
there with Pierre.
He went there with Pierre. But when I held my son back, I came to the principal. Now, this is crazy. This was the eighth grade.
Get that mic, Sunshine.
She's a
Listen, it was the 8th grade. And now, Hoss, at the time, he didn't want to do it. Because he want, his peers, just like you said, his peers was moving on, and he didn't want to do it. But at the same time, the relationship I have with my son and everything, that's why I said it ain't for everybody. It depends on where you at with your kid. So when I had the relationship, I said, listen, man, we didn't put a lot of time, sweat, and tears in this. So this is the decision I think that's best for you. You know what I'm saying? Now, you got to trust the process. So now, when we do this, it ain't about the playing around, and this is serious. So we're going to make it an investment, and we're going to see it through. So at first, it was kind of hard for him, but then when he started going through it, you know what I'm saying, because he didn't play his 8th grade year at middle school. He started coming to practice at Pershing, where he was at. So it was more so like, okay, he dug into it. After that, we seen what it did for Hoss. As far as him playing 8th, 9th grade, he came and he was mature, his body was strong, and, you know what I'm saying, he wasn't getting pushed around a little bit. And then, talking about educational-wise, he can, oh, man, you couldn't tell him, hey, man, let's go do this and do that. Let's go do this. You go ahead and do what you do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, it helped him out a lot. And then from there, it was a no-brainer. It was like, okay, well, look, he gonna do it, and he gonna do it. And then our peers, like you say, held back for their peers. Our peers is in our house.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So when it happened for him, well, you ain't gonna catch up with him because I'm holding you back too. You know what I'm saying?
That's what
So,
What's your perspective, Kevin? I know we heard your wife's perspective.
Right.
What's your perspective?
So my perspective is kind of the same, but me being a professional athlete,
Right.
I've seen parents do it for solely just because of sports and athletics. And my thing is I don't think that a parent should do it when it's just solely on athletics. And I think the reason why the parents sometimes may do it is because they're impatient. They're saying, oh, my son or my daughter should be at this point in the 8th grade or the 7th grade. And if they're not there, then something's wrong. I'm going to hold them back so they get to that point. And I don't think that's true. If you guys look at me, I'm not the prototypical football player or quarterback. I've been playing for 18 years. I am 6th all time on the CFL list, and I think 16th on NFL or CFL. So I have more passing yards than like some people's like favorite NFL quarterbacks.
So give him your stats though, like not.
That's what I'm saying.
Physical. Like tell them.
So nobody.
They can't see you. You gotta. Give
I'm
so they can
5'10".
vision. Yeah.
200 pounds. People in the football. I don't.
So they can know.
I don't run a 40. So I'm not even gonna give you a time. I don't run it.
Okay.
So that just wasn't what I did. So I'm one of those like it doesn't. You don't have to look or be a certain thing in the 7th or the 8th grade in order to be successful at athletics.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying. I think sometimes parents are impatient because I've seen a lot of kids that don't come into their own until college.
Right.
I've seen some kids, some people that I went to high school with, and played on the team with were younger than me, and I was like, he'll never make it. He get a scholarship. I come back home from college, and he's getting recruited by this school, and then he go on to make it, and I'm like, wow. Like, but I wouldn't have never thought that in the 9th grade. So sometimes some kids or some student athletes they don't come into their own until later. So that would be a thing that but like Twig said, it has to be the parent. The parent knows their child.
Yeah.
Like, you know your child and whether or not you can say, hey, I can do this or I don't need to because he's mature enough and he may get that growth spurt. I got a brother who we definitely should be we should have changed bodies because my younger brother, he was the smallest thing in his 8th grade class. I went off to school. I came back. I was a senior. He was a freshman. I went off to school to college. I came back 10th grade year. He was the tallest person in his class. He's 6'3", 6'4", 230. That's Jason. Yeah, that's Jason. We should be in different bodies. So that kind of thing. That sometimes just the kids that spurt, or the growth spurt and all that kind of stuff. It comes later. But you as a parent, if you're an advocate of it, like this family, they're an advocate of it. So you know what they're gonna do. Yeah. So if they are, then you know your child, and that's what you should do.
So is there? Go ahead.
Okay, so I have a question for you, Kevin. So back in high school, picture back you're in high school, you're a freshman, 9th grader, star quarterback for St. Martin Deporres, all the way through high school. Being younger, being undersized, and things like that. How did you mentally? How did you fight through it? How did you get through that? Because being a quarterback on a good team back then, y'all Deporres. I forgot the other school. Y'all were going back and forth. How did you fight through that? How did you, was it ever an issue? Did reclassification even come up? Like what? How did you get through that?
So back then, it wasn't something like you said. It was more of a negative thing than a positive thing. It was more so like you got held back. You stupid. What's wrong with you? So, and I was my parents, and I was a firm believer in academics. So, it was tough. The tough part about it was that like you said, St. Martin Deporres was a very prestigious school as far as sports was concerned, especially for football. They had one of the best coaches in the city at Ron Thompson. They had won the most state championships of any high school in the state of Michigan. So initially, I didn't even go to St. Martin Deporres to play football.
Right.
And I got convinced by my father and the athletic director there, who was recruiting me, but at the time he wasn't. But so I got kind of convinced, and I think like my family structure and around me is what helped me, because and the fact that I was on a varsity team, so I think the older players in the school knew that I could help them win. So it was kind of like, this is my little brother.
Right.
So y'all better not mess with us.
Right.
So it's sometimes a benefit of playing sports. And that's why sometimes I know people that are not athletes sometimes be like, oh, athletes get privileges. And
Actually, it's 4 times harder.
It is.
They don't have to go to practice.
Practice, exactly.
They don't have to do the workouts. They don't have to get up early in the morning and still retain those.
And it's not a privilege. It's just the fact that it's like a sisterhood or brotherhood when you're playing on that team.
Sure.
It's the same thing as if somebody was, on the I think like the chess club or the debate team. You have a team. When you have a team, I think you get support by other people. So that was my biggest thing. Because I was a freshman playing on varsity. And like the players looked at me as like, man, this guy's gonna help us win. So, they that was the thing. My family and the structure that they built underneath me, and then the other guys, the older guys that were on the team, and we had some older guys who were like very they were 5-star standout players so they knew everything knew everybody in the city, and everybody looked up to them in the school. So I was just kind of like the tag along little brother at the time.
One of our viewers says here that it could divide families. Anytime that any of you that did reclass your children, did it do something to the family, like the husband and wife, or you guys as a family, where it could divide? One of our viewers said it's going to divide the family, or it can divide the family. Did y'all have any incidents where that could have happened with the judgment call?
No, divide the family. That's something
that's the critical word, but
Yeah, it's a strong statement.
yeah, that's strong. But no, divide the family. No, I mean, like I said, we had some that did it, some that didn't. Actually, I got one that's ahead. So, no, I didn't experience that. It did. You know, it's all support.
All
Right.
support, absolutely.
I think when you like just listening to their story, when, like I said, they're advocates.
Oh, yeah,
They
they do.
know what they're doing.
Right.
So I think when your kids see that you're adamant about something and know what you're doing,
Make it work.
They trust
I mean, they're your kids. At the end of the day, they're gonna trust you.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, when it's a husband and wife, that's still a relationship that, at the end of the day, is for the kid. If it's for the kid, then
So
hey,
is there?
it should work.
What
Is
about
it-
the people? You had another question.
Wait, shut up.
That's Bopper.
As usual.
What about the people that don't really know and that's just following somebody because they heard of it? Because a lot of times we will follow what somebody else is doing. Like you're like, oh,
Like it's a
reclassify your
fad.
kid. Yeah, reclassify your kid is good. You can help them with sports or whatever. What about those people?
So
Like,
so Twig, answer that question. So you knew you wanted to do it. How was it okay? How did you present it to Sunshine? And how did you get her to understand that this is what we need to do, this is what we're gonna do? How do you do that? So for instance, a family, a parent, a father and a mom. Dad wants to do it, mom don't wanna do it. How do you transfer it to the mom and help her understand that this is the best thing to do for the kid?
Well, first and foremost, we are not the first ones to do it.
Right,
You know
right,
what I'm
right.
saying? You know what I'm saying?
Right,
So,
right.
I mean, be honest with you, Texas, Georgia, all them southern states, they've been doing it for football.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You know, so what happens was when we was going on the AAU circuit, when I think Hoss was like 8 years old. At 8 years old,
I
they
found
won.
out about it.
They won the national championship. So at 9, when they was coming back to repeat, when we went on the circuit, these kids was huge, and they was huge. So what we found out was like, okay, we had in mind that these kids were older,
Absolutely.
but
The
how are they
mustache
doing?
and the tattoos didn't tell us.
So
Yeah.
and it wasn't just my decision. It was like together, like me and Sunshine looked at each other like, hey, we got to compete with the world. It ain't about just in the state of Michigan
Absolutely.
or whatever. Because you know when you go off to college, it's not just the state of Michigan.
No, it's not.
You competing with it ain't just United States no more. They getting kids from everywhere.
Canada,
You know,
Canada,
Africa,
Canada,
everywhere.
obviously.
Europe,
So
everywhere.
now, you know what I'm saying? We say, you know what? We got to make sure that our kids have a fair fight.
Right.
And I want to the same thing. The occurrence happened when we were thinking we gonna do something. You know, we big here in Michigan. We go down to Florida, and these kids walk on the Florida one. I said, "Oh, we on the wrong court."
That's right.
You know, and I'm like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah.
And then what does it do for your kids? Because at this point now we feel like we've gotten cheated. Because yes, the kids are supposed to be in this age group, right? But now they go by the grades.
Right.
So, you know, because half the time when we go, so when I carry my son's birth certificate.
That's right.
I'll
That's
pop it
right.
out and say, I'm not even arguing with you. This is his age and that's it. But when we went down there, I couldn't imagine how the kids felt because as a parent, I feel like we couldn't even help our kids like with the slaughter. I'm like, oh my God. And then I was like, okay, now we got to figure out where these kids coming from. What are they doing? I thought it was cheating.
Yeah.
That's just how I looked at it. I'll be honest with you, I thought it was cheating.
True.
Period.
So that's
Yeah.
what one of our listeners said. He said that reclassing is it cheating when you reclassify up, especially for the sport?
Well, I'll tell you like this. Okay. If anybody believe in prep school, it's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, if you get another year of high school, I mean, even in Canada, they go to 13.
Yeah, they do.
They do.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you look at it in a nutshell, all we doing is just competing and just making it an even playing field. You know what I'm saying? And that's bottom line. It's not like you doing anything to harm a kid. You know what I'm saying? Another year of education.
It's not gonna hurt.
There we go.
It's not gonna kill
All
them.
right.
What?
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
I have a question for you, Twig, and I'll get to you, Kevin. With coaching.
It's funny you call me Kevin.
I know. I'm trying to be professional.
I got
Be
you.
yourself. What's
I
your
got you,
name?
Carol.
Twinkle.
Carol.
We call him Puna.
Puna. That's
Oh,
Puna.
so
That's
you
Puna.
gonna just throw that out?
I figured it was a nickname. We got Twig, Bob, Puna, Dave.
You know we keep it
what I'm saying?
big.
Okay, so Twig, with coaching and recruiting kids.
I don't.
Pershing.
Say
Okay, wait,
again.
okay,
Don't
wait.
recruit.
Boom. So wait.
I answer for you.
Hit that baby.
Okay, so
Don't
listen,
speak, let your
it's
lawyer.
still part of the question. So Pershing is known for being that school, you know, you guys have a big history, you
Go
know.
Boys.
However, academically, a lot of things have changed at the school. The school is much smaller. There's like 200 people in the school. How, with coaching and recruiting kids to come to Pershing, how you do that? What makes a child come into Pershing? How do you get a parent to say, you know what, bring your kid over to Pershing? What does Pershing and you have to offer a kid for them to come to Pershing?
We reclassify them. The 8.5 grades. I was playing.
No, listen. I'm gonna be totally honest. Pershing is not for everybody. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be honest with you. It is not for everybody. And see, what Pershing put in front of you, it gives you everything up front. If you want to be an a-hole, you can be that. If you want to be a student, you can be that. Athlete, you can be that. But it just sits everything straight there in front of you. You know what I'm saying? Now, for you to go through Pershing and actually graduate and do all that stuff, it takes a whole lot. It takes a different guy. It takes a different character. You
Can
know
I
what I'm saying?
add?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm an alumni, and I did come through
She's a dope girl.
and I did come through the sports as well. What a lot of people don't understand is that Pershing has a legacy. It's not really just sports for us. You understand? And a lot of times when athletes or whoever students that come to the school, sometimes in this day and age, they don't understand the legacy that comes through our school. And a lot of people know that our alumni is strong, and we hold people to that certain standard. So coming to our school, to us, you know what I'm saying, from what we came through, it's a privilege. It ain't just, you know, like, real talk, we think our school is like a Country Day or a Lickett. Real talk, I mean, that's just how we view our school. You know what I'm saying? Even though it may not measure, may not measure to some people in that manner, that's what it is to us, and that's what matters. So if you come to Pershing, what you should,
Or bring your kid if they call and ask you.
yeah, that your kid called and asked you and said that they want to, you know, be a doughboy. I mean, I don't see no reason why you shouldn't let
You gonna pull the plug.
Public service announcement.
Let me touch in on what it is to really to go through the Pershing whole regiment of being a doughboy. The thing is, it's the pride and the history and the hold up. Everything that you put on your chest, you know what I'm saying, and you know, if you ever been to Pershing, everything is manual. There's no shooting gun. There's no, you know, everything you come in, you know, it's raggedy and it's real. So when you say how you get kids to come to Pershing, it's basically just gonna be hard work, determination. But I mean, if you look at it, look at all the graduates that came out through Pershing, as far as basketball, through our program. Everybody, we got pros, but I'm saying some of the pros didn't even graduate from college. But I'm saying, if you look at it, we got a lot of guys that develop what you call common sense. And see, a lot of people slip on common sense. You know what I'm saying? And see, common sense will take you far a long way, and you don't get that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can put some stuff on paper and in the book and everything, but they don't teach common sense.
Right.
And see, sometimes you need to go a long way with just common sense, hard determination, and then it's just like, you know, when somebody tell you can't do something, you can't make it. You can't make it at the University of Michigan because you dumb. You went to Pershing.
You went to Pershing, right?
You see what I'm saying? So now they got that chip on their shoulder.
Right.
I'm gonna prove it to you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's how we've been getting by. I mean, Michigan State, Michigan. I mean, VCU.
They still coming.
You know what I'm saying? We got a whole, but we can go. I mean, I don't know the names. I do know the names, but I just can't give it to you right now. But we got a lot of people. I think we might got most pros, most graduates from basketball than anybody that you can say in the metro area.
And I'll agree with you on
And
that.
if you can name them, I mean, go ahead and chime in. That we got it.
I mean,
Okay, Kevin. So being that public school, went to public schools majority of your life, all of your life, until high school. Why did you pick Catholic school over public school education?
You want to really know this? Okay, this is a
I
story
know,
for you.
but
So
I'm just,
the reason why I went to St. Martin Deporres in middle school, I went to Go Lightly Educational middle school over on St. Antoine. I took the test to go to King. That's where I was going. I wanted to. I was just going to play basketball and baseball. I got accepted, the MSAT program. I had my classes, went to orientation, and y'all look this up. 1993, Detroit Public School teachers went on strike. I was out for about a week and a half, and Mama Glenn said, "You're not about to be sitting in this house all day and not going to school." I had a real good friend, Craig Jackson. His mother was like, Deporres was, they wanted Puna to come over there to that school. My mama said, well, these teachers don't look like they're going back to school. So he about to get off this couch. So we're going to go take a visit. So me and my mother and father went to go take a visit at St. Martin Deporres, and the rest is history. So them teachers going on strike is what hurt King not having me up in their school.
I had to switch hands.
King could have had a bunch of state championships.
There you go. At least
But no,
4 years.
that's why at least. So that's what happened. They went on strike, and that was the rest. So we went and took a visit, and Steve Brown was the athletic director at the time, and that's how it ended up going to St. Martin Deporres.
So,
I just want to say that Sean Hudson is going in on this.
Go ahead.
Going live. Sean Hudson got a lot to say.
Coach Twig, you told us the pros. You told us some of the pros. They get a chance to.
Calm down, Kim.
I don't know what order, but reclassification. Sean Hudson says cheating. He also said parents reclassify their kids for athletic reasons. He said it doesn't make it right that just because everybody does it is bending the law. And he also said what you are not understanding, the intent of reclassification was not to gain an athletic advantage.
So this is the thing: if you do it before he goes into kindergarten, or you do it in the 5th or 6th grade, it's still the same. Sure. They're still the same age. Sure. If you hold them back in the kindergarten, or if you hold them back in the 6th or 7th grade, it's still the same.
right.
It's just that you did it earlier than
You're
somebody
not really
else.
doing it for athletics
So I don't.
Now when you 17 at Renaissance and you're supposed to be.
Stop it. No, that's. She threw some. Those sound like jabs. Okay, and I'm not a coach. I don't have a son that's being reclassified. I'm just a student athlete that went through the system, has been playing professionally, and I have cousins. I have other people that are family friends who I know that play, who have reclassified, and I didn't. If it is to gain for athletics, it still isn't. It's not like a 15-year-old is playing against 10-year-olds.
Right.
It's more so like a 14-year-old is playing against 13-year-olds, or a 13 is playing with a 12,
A freshman playing with a senior.
or 12 playing with the 10 or 11.
Just for example, John Lucas, if you all know who John Lucas is, so he recently wrote an article, at least it was just recently posted. So he reclassified his children. So he was actually sharing with the readers the pros and cons of it. So the outcome for him was the reasons that he reclassified his boys. It was 2 of them, and he didn't. So he didn't.
John Lucas didn't.
Yeah, so his reasons why he didn't, because his thing was, in 1 year he didn't think that for one of his sons that he was going to actually grow. From an athletic standpoint. He would me reclassifying my son, we actually grow in 1 year. What would be the impact regarding that? The other one was for, both of them were his reasons for athletic, or at least considering from an athletic
He said that what God wanted for him anyway.
Right.
That's
so
what he said.
I think if for those, I don't know the actual title of the article, but we can pull it up shortly. However, but John Lucas did write an article about the pros and cons. For him, it was the cons, therefore he didn't, because for his reasonings, if he was to do it, it was, for athletic reasons, and his sons would not grow within a specific time because genetically speaking, he's not the tallest individual, therefore his sons probably wouldn't be taller. But again, he had the cons against that.
And that's the thing. It depends on the person.
Yes,
if that's what you feel, no one is saying that you're right or wrong. But for somebody to tell you oh, you're wrong and that's cheating. That's not necessarily cheating.
That's
It's
not
not.
cheating.
When you're,
No.
like I said, when it's only a year difference.
It's not.
It's
for
not like you're
everybody.
holding.
Right.
Yeah, it's not like you're holding the
Okay,
kid
well,
back 3 or 4
okay.
years to play.
Real
Right.
talk. Okay, like most of the pros that you looking at right now, the NBA bodies, they've been reclassed.
A lot of them.
You know what I'm saying?
So,
And so is
leads
that
us to-
cheap?
that leads us to what is the end goal?
What's
It's
the
like
end
what?
goal?
So when we're doing this, what is the end goal?
Right.
And if you don't get that end goal, was it worth it?
Right.
It's on that individual who's
There
making
you
that
go.
decision
There you go.
on what the end goal is. And that's what I was saying. Because it doesn't matter.
It's no failure.
Everybody's different.
Exactly.
Right.
It's
Everybody is
no failure.
different.
Because even if you say, for instance, you say, you know what? Say, for instance, I have a 12-year-old. And he's in the 7th grade, and I say, you know what? I'm gonna hold him back. I'm gonna hold him back. He's gonna repeat the 7th grade for athletics. It's gonna help him academically anyway.
There you go.
Exactly.
There it is.
Another year.
It's gonna help him academically anyway.
That is-
So,
Yep.
so having that extra year,
It's not gonna
if he doesn't make it in sports, it just gives him that much more incentive to make it in education.
So my
see, and
next
that's for
question.
me.
So let me just say
Okay,
that.
go ahead.
So what if a kid is already academically sound, and I'm talking about most people who have academically sound children, and you've taught your child from growth to if you do this, you pass. You go to the next grade. You gotta do well in school because you go to the next grade. And then a parent says, well, I'm gonna hold you back based on athletics, but then the kid is like, well, dang, you taught me one thing,
Right.
and now we're doing something different. And that year that I'm held back, because this is what I'm seeing with the kids I know right now that's held back from my son, a lot of them who are not playing 8th grade basketball because they embarrassed, or they don't want to play because they like, I ain't playing, we did that already. They feel like they're not included anymore for that 1 year. Yeah, I know it is, but I'm just saying, so what happens then? Like when the kids feel like, dang, my mama taught me one thing or my dad taught me this, but now I'm being held back. Is it a punishment or is it, is it really for athletics? And then I've seen parents who have done it, and the benefit wasn't a Division I scholarship. The benefit wasn't NBA.
And
So-
that's the
Like I
thing.
said,
It's all
not
a
a
toss.
failure, though.
Right.
It's all a toss
It's
up.
not a loss.
It's not a loss if you don't make it to the
It don't-
NFL or the NBA.
It's not a loss.
It's not a loss.
So go back
for
to the teaching,
basketball.
It's not a
It's not a
loss
loss
for
for-
education either.
It's not a loss for listen. Okay, it's not a loss for basketball. It's not a loss for education. Could it be a loss emotionally? Could it be a loss psychologically?
But
Could that? Could I mean?
That's why I threw it out that you do it earlier rather than later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because then it cuts all that other
kinda-
it cuts all that what ifs out. Because when
Okay.
you do it in the kindergarten or 1st grade, they don't
It
even
doesn't
know.
matter.
Right.
They have
So
no
I'm
clue
gonna
what
say my
happened.
instance. So Cody's birthday is September the 30th. He's been in school since head start, and this is the year. This was the year they started. You have to be 5 by September 1st. And I was flabbergasted because I'm like, what? No, it's December 1st. I'm one of them kids, that type thing. So I had to write a letter and say that I believe my son is ready for kindergarten. I did it. They started him kindergarten. Okay. So Cody went through kindergarten and everything. Did well. He passed. He did well. But then I'm thinking, 1st grade. He's not ready. I got 6 kids.
Yeah.
He's the only one that I've held back. I knew he wasn't ready, and that's when I had to adjust myself. Okay.
Ready in what
But he's
aspect from a
He's just not
Mature.
He's not
Mature,
mature because
right.
guess what? I
That's
done
okay.
babied him. We done all babied him. He not ready to go to 1st grade. You mean go to school, put your hat in your sleeve, hang your coat up, all that. He coming home. He
Teenagers
left
still
a
doing
shoe.
Did you put
Yes,
your hat in your sleeve?
yeah. Yeah.
So he was in 1st grade. He started 1st grade. He started 1st grade, and I'm like, shoot, I messed him up. We messed him up. My family, the kids, we're doing everything for him. We didn't allow him to grow. So guess what? He's lost. All these 1st graders in school, and they doing everything, and he moving slow. Because guess what? Guess who always did everything for Cody?
Yeah.
We all did. So I held him back. And then
It's called being an enabler.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I told
absolutely.
I
Me
am.
too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Facts.
So
Totally facts.
I held him back. He held. I took him back. He needs to go back to kindergarten. I had to write another letter because they're like, no, academically he's good. I said he needs to go back to kindergarten. Wrote a letter, and they put him back in kindergarten. And he's perfectly fine now. He's probably beyond some of the kids, but actually he's in his right grade. Because remember, I wrote the letter to put him up. So he's really in his right grade anyhow, you know, so. But yeah.
I disagree with the reclassification per se. I mean, I guess I just feel like when your kid is supposed to be in a certain place, that's just where they're supposed to be. And I don't want to really bring religion in, but I'm saying it because when your kid is born and this is where they're supposed to be, to me, that's just where they're supposed to be. And they're probably supposed to learn something from it. So could we be possibly taking them away from somewhere they're supposed to be, trying to, with our own agendas?
When you say they were supposed to be, what do you mean by where
What I mean, what they're supposed to be, because if
How old are they?
if he's 17.
So
Right.
wait,
17.
no, but wait.
Stop.
Somebody
No,
made, somebody
Hold
made
on,
reference.
hold on.
Somebody made
Hold
reference
on,
to that in
I
this
think-
question, and they
I think this
said
my.
they said 17 at Renaissance in whatever grade. He said that says if they're at Renaissance, basically that they should not be that old in that grade. That's it. That's
What
what he
grade?
said.
So,
But
it's
it's
the
a
10th, the 9th, or 10th.
10th grade, 17,
10th
Renaissance.
grade 17. So that means, so that 10th grade 17, 11th grade 18, 12th grade 19. Because I graduated high school when I was 18. So if 12th grade,
16.
12th grade
19.
19, so
What
that's
is his
only a year
birthday?
difference, right?
Can you? What age does Michigan high school say you can't
can't
go to
cut
school?
off now.
The
I
cutoff
say
is
Depending on the
19.
birthday.
Oh, yeah.
But
Birthday.
it's 19, though, right?
19.
But
19.
before September
Before September
1st.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
So then they
19.
won't be able to play any, right? If they
So-
if they don't
Yeah.
if they
My
don't
point.
if they don't
Yeah, that's the point. That's
right
the
if
point.
they don't meet the guidelines, then they won't play. Michigan high school has made that.
So
So then you go to prep school for another
Yeah.
year.
So then you assistant
There we go.
coach.
Now,
Because you got a
now we in Texas.
Then they go to prep school.
Ohio, because now they
Now we in Texas,
So,
Ohio.
so would that still make the reclassification successful?
Right, exactly. That's my whole
If they
point.
go to prep school,
After they reclass,
Then he
because
can't play now. Then he's
Right.
not going to qualify to play after his birthday.
After his
in
birthday,
12th grade
he probably
year.
can't play. Probably January. January he can't play.
depending on when his birthday is,
Right.
then he wouldn't be able. You're saying he wouldn't be able to play high school basketball in Michigan, but he can go to a prep school and play.
That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
True.
So
It's
if,
what-
if the
Tomato,
end
tomato.
goal is him playing basketball, because I think this reclassification is very similar to should guys forego college and go straight to the pros.
yeah, yeah.
That's what
Exactly.
this
That's
what
it.
this sounds. This is what this conversation
Right.
sounds like.
That's right.
Oh, should he go to college and get an education, or should he go to the pros and make the money? So I think it's on the individual. At the end of the day, I don't think nobody can tell somebody else what to do. At the end of the day, you can have your opinions on in the situations, but when you said where they should be, I guess that's what my opinion
I
is
got you.
to do it
When
to
I-
do it earlier in their life.
Yes.
Because nobody knows
So,
how old you supposed to be in the first grade.
Right,
or
so
the
I can
kindergarten.
agree with that if you do it early. I can understand if you do it early and for whatever your reasons may be for doing it early. I guess I just don't agree with it when it comes to the athletic. I should probably say
Okay.
that.
When it comes to
When it
athletics,
comes to
you don't
I
agree with
completely-
reclassifying.
Yes,
Okay.
I completely disagree when it comes to if you're doing it solely for athletics.
Okay, that's good.
You understand
What
what I'm
about the ones who just actually failed 8th grade?
That's
Or
different.
Failed the 7th grade.
You just
Right.
you,
I mean,
But
they,
it's still
they
the
don't.
same
Is
thing.
that
It's
cheating?
still the same.
no, it's not
Right.
cheating because your kid not getting the education. They not grasping
But it's still the
what
same
they
age.
supposed to.
That
listen,
ain't
the
true.
age is that. Listen, the age
I got some.
is the hold on. It's not. This is a great topic. This is a great topic.
I got
Listen,
something right now.
It's not. It's if you fail, it's because you not grasping, according to the teachers.
According to the
According to the teachers.
There we
Not
go.
according to the teachers. Not they the educators.
It's
Am
not
I right?
necessarily according to the teachers. It's if in fact that child has not met the requirements to pass on to the next
There we
grade.
go.
It's covering the content.
Well, the teachers are the ones that's
But they-
observant or
it's the student
they
retaining the information.
Yeah, but
no,
they
but
could
the
be covering the
who,
content.
who decides whether or not the kid is retaining?
But I can train you to be a professional athlete, and you ain't gonna be no NBA
curriculum
player.
and
So it's the same
It's
thing,
the
right?
grade that the
Same
child
thing.
receives
Yeah.
in order to allow
No,
them.
I'm
That's why
talking
they
about.
have-
So they
She's
can
saying
be
the teachers
they can be
are
receiving
responsible
a
for
passing
failing.
grade, but they might not
I'm saying
necessarily be
trainers
ready
are
to move
responsible
on
for-
to that
See,
next
that
grade.
makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
But that don't have nothing to do with them failing because that means they can just push them through. Am I right? That means they push them
That's
through.
what they
do.
That was the whole
They do.
no kid left behind, and look where it got us.
Nowhere.
Nowhere.
Can I-
Kids have moved, but they
until
still left behind.
so honestly, some of these parents that may do the reclassification for sports could be helping their kids.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Yes.
Coach Twig, tell me
Yes.
how.
Well, accidentally.
Especially
Accidentally, right? You said.
Go ahead, Twig.
Go ahead, Coach
Okay.
Twig.
literally, you know what I'm saying? I failed the 8th grade.
Stop laughing, Sunshine.
She laughed at me. I mean, literally, because listen, at the time, you know what I'm saying? I came up in the epidemic, real talk. You know what I'm saying? So it was a lot of things in front of me that was going on that my peers in my neighborhood was doing that I'm looking like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? I mean, real talk, you know what I'm saying? So in the 8th grade, I say, well, shit. I mean, excuse me, but
No,
I
you
say,
can curse. This is
I say,
grown-ups.
well, man, he making $100 a day.
Okay.
I'm going to school. I'm gonna go get this 100. You know what I'm saying? And literally, when my mom took me to school and to parents teachers conference, they say, I never seen your son.
Yeah.
I say, this him? This the Shine Hill right here? And at the time, that's what I was at that age. I was more so into.
Everything else happening besides what's
I was
next.
into what was around me.
Yeah.
And I was blind. You know what I'm saying? Literally. Now, I repeated the 8th grade, and I said, well, you know what? I got to go here now. Remember when y'all was talking about mentally?
Yes, what it does to your child when
I'm
you do
here.
it. Yeah.
I'm telling you what's going on because I was that kid.
Yeah.
But not by holding back, by default.
Right.
So
Now
did
you
that
know
bother
it's
you
work.
that you was held back, or did you just realize like, yeah,
Because
I didn't come to school,
I'm
so
gonna be
I
honest
gotta
with you.
repeat.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Probably didn't care.
The work was easy to me.
Yeah.
I understand that,
You
but
know
I'm
what
saying
it didn't bother me because it was like this. I made this bed. I knew I wasn't going to school. I knew this. It wasn't the work that held me back. It was me that held me back. You know what I'm saying? And in most cases, be honest with you, a kid that can comprehend, he can make it. It's the things that goes on around him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, now, we got some kids that just don't get it. They supposed to put them in certain classes when you don't get it.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a different education for them. They don't supposed to be in
Agreed.
the you know what I'm saying? So
I agree.
now, when it came to me, 8th grade next year, all A's.
Suit up to the
It was all A's the next year, all A's. You know what I'm saying? So when I got to Pershing, now I'm back in another. Okay, look what they doing. And I'm going into a year behind, and here go the girls. Oh my goodness, it's a whole different. You know what I'm saying? Now I have, now she was at Northern. I couldn't have her at the.
At the P.
But now, Lorenzo was reclassed.
Oh, he was?
Cahill. I mean, this not bad. Hey, come on, we holding you back. No, we're talking about, hey, whatever you was doing in your life at that time, you didn't pass. And see, that's what we was talking about when y'all say, no kid left behind. This is what you're getting. You're getting the kids who supposed to be held back. Hold him back. Make him be accountable.
But
And
to
it helped me.
Reclassification is intentional.
Yes.
Right.
It's
That's
intentional. Exactly.
that's what I was
Yeah,
trying
this
to
is-
clarify.
But see,
intentional.
what we was talking about, they said it's cheating. Now, what about the kids that ain't just, didn't get it and
Right.
they have been
That's
held
not
back?
cheating.
See?
That's not cheating,
But
but it's the same
It's the
thing.
same
So,
thing.
no, it's
It's
cheating.
not
So
because
what
you
about-
voluntarily hold somebody back.
But I'm still the
for
same
your own.
age.
It doesn't matter. You're volunteering. Listen, if you fail,
His-
you fail because you didn't meet the requirements to pass to the next grade.
Right.
But if you passing, and I hold you back for athletic purposes, is
Or
But
other
both
purposes.
kids,
no,
But I'm
but
participating
both
at the same
but I'm
time.
participating, but because both kids play athletics. One passes and can go, the other one can't and stays behind. But it's the same kid, the same kid. One just passed and one didn't pass,
That's
but
it.
they're same athletic kid. What are you doing that instance? Is that still cheating?
I mean, well, I wouldn't call it cheating if you didn't voluntarily.
But if you voluntarily do it, it's cheating.
I wouldn't call it cheating. I mean, somebody else said cheating.
No, that's
I
what we were
wouldn't-
going off my.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
guys,
yeah,
I
we
wouldn't
were
say.
talking
about
I
his
wouldn't
strength.
say it's
You-
cheating,
we
but
got you just
I'm
don't
looking
agree
at
with
it. I'm looking at it from a standpoint.
You don't think it's ethical.
Then you.
There
Yes.
you go. Yeah.
There
She
you
don't
go.
think she doesn't think it's ethical for you to do that to your
Yes.
child to hold them back.
Okay, I
athletically.
have some. One of my viewers said,
Right.
if one fails, they're not playing. If they're failing
I know
school,
that's
and this is
right.
her, this is her.
I know
If
that's
my
right.
kid not doing what he's supposed to do in school,
That's that parent.
he can't play
Because I know
athletics.
some
Some
parents.
parents
It's some parents out there that
That's
just
all about
still
athletics.
having it,
it doesn't matter to them, and it's. I mean,
We that too. though.
I've had family members. I've had family members that
They ain't
went
playing it. They
to
ain't-
school where the teachers
Yeah.
gave them the
There's
grades
no
because they was
grades. You
because they
can't
was
Athletics.
athletics
Okay.
and
So that's
pushed
a-
them through.
So that's another
That's another
thing.
thing.
Yeah.
That's
So
another
you have
thing, too.
parents. So you have right now. You have teachers who are just passing kids along and know they don't belong along. So what do you call that? Cheating too?
But see, look,
It's a
that's where
disservice
I'm
to the
at.
kid.
This is what you have. This
It's called
see, I call some of this like you know they call it student athletes. That's good. You know you got student athletes. Well, sometimes you got athlete students. You know what I'm saying? So what it is this: an athlete student, he's gonna do what it is to
Get back,
to
just so
play.
they can play.
To play. So now it's up to like with us. If you ain't got a 3.0, you know what I'm saying? You can't play.
Period.
And then
Ring that
Set
bell
the
because they do
standard.
that.
And
But
then
then you got one viewer said, Art
That's
Johnson
true.
said, nothing's wrong with trying to give your child an advantage to
That's
make it
AJ.
in life.
That's
They
AJ,
wanna
y'all.
say-
Doughboy. That's AJ.
I've heard some people say if you
AJ, your kid
what's
must
wrong
be
with your
reclassified. You
kid?
reclassified
some people in athletics, if you ain't cheating,
That's
you
what
ain't trying.
yeah. If you ain't cheating, you ain't competing. That's what I heard.
That's
So
another pro. That's another pro from Pershing.
Yep.
So it's
Yeah,
safe to say that a lot of parents. So basically, we're getting away from it really being about school. Most parents, because of situations, because of how they're coming up, kids coming up, the lifestyles, is counting on their child making it. Because there's no way in the world, if they can't get through high school, they're going to get through college. It's
No.
just not going to happen.
It's not.
You know. So what are we doing? We're failing the kids.
Now, and that's why I said
Because college
that-
is worse than
and
high school.
It is.
And you on your own.
It is because they don't. You're a number in college. I was there. They have lecture halls, and they don't care if you come to school or not. They're not gonna tell you.
They
You're not
give
gonna,
their money.
you're not gonna get a parent-teacher conference where you're.
No.
But they gonna
Oh,
tell
no.
your mama
Not at
that
all.
you
Not
were
gonna
there.
happen.
What's gonna happen is you're gonna get that envelope in the mail where it says you flunked the class.
You still
And you pay
money.
no,
Still
and you
owes money.
it's already paid for. If
Or
you
if
scholarship or
you
not,
got a
it's paid for.
scholarship, yeah.
Well,
it's
I mean,
gonna-
but
It's
they
still
lose
a waste of
the
money.
scholarship.
They're gonna take it away.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
You ain't playing.
and that's why I am a firm believer in, and it could be the reason that because I got an educator in my household to where I believe if you did it early, it'll solve a lot of these problems.
Yeah.
So
But if you did do it later, it's on that individual.
And then you
Yeah,
gotta
it's
look at
not
the
a problem.
statistics. So on our previous episode,
Mhm.
what's the stats behind the kid making it to the NBA? What's the stats?
It was
What's the percentage?
It's
so we just know it was out of 91,000
Right.
student athletes who played
Sports.
college
Sports.
football and basketball. There were only 301 that made it to the pros.
Right. And
Out of
then
So,
91,000.
it's
the
12.
perspective of a GM or a coach in the NBA. So, and then this is not my perspective. This is just something I read. Now, you have a kid that reclassed. You got this 17-year-old coming out of high school with the same skill set as a 19-year-old. So, would the coach or the NBA or the GM or the NBA, who they gonna select? Because now they're looking at
whichever one's
Not
more
true.
talented.
Not true.
more marketable and have
Let's say they both had the same
So they gonna
amount
take
of talent.
same amount
Let's
of
say they
talent,
both the same amount of
17
talent.
and 19-year-olds.
Same.
They're gonna take
They're gonna
the
take 17-year-old.
Younger
because they have
In the
longevity
NBA, they're gonna
in
take
the
the
league. Their money gonna go far.
2 years is not going to make a difference because the average, like
Career.
in football, the average career for a football player is probably 3 to 4 years,
And that's
not
the
even
same.
depending
it's the
on the
same
position.
right now for the NBA. Just to let you know, it
3
is.
to 4.
That's it's 3 to 4.
So
it's
that
no
2
longer.
year, that 2 year doesn't matter. It depends on
No.
whether or not that kid, whatever that 17-year-old and 19-year-old, that GM is going after who can put them butts in the seats.
No. So
That's
I
what that
didn't say
GM
no. I didn't say no. So do you know how many freshmen were drafted last year in the NBA draft alone?
You mean
in the first round? How
you
many
mean
freshmen?
like coming out of
Coming out of college.
Coming out of college?
Freshmen.
Younger.
Huh? I said, do you know how many
I mean, the
freshmen?
Kentuckys, I call them
But I'm just
Kentuckys.
but I'm just
I don't
saying.
think that.
There were 4 times more than all the guys who were like.
You know what that
More
means?
likely.
That means that they were better than those upperclassmen. That had nothing to do with
Potential-wise.
that had nothing to do with.
So potential wise, so Boston Celtics first pick in the draft. What just happened to him?
I don't know.
Who?
He got traded.
Who?
Traded right away.
He's never played since the 2 years he got drafted number 1 from the
Who you
Boston
talking
Celtics.
He sat for 2 whole years.
I don't even remember his
He
name.
signed.
He signed
got
a
paid.
deal, got paid,
And he-
never played in a game,
It don't matter.
and that's enough.
You know, I played 18 years. You know, last year I was the backup quarterback, and I got paid to sit and not take a snap last year.
Your mentality now is
Yeah,
different.
because I can't imagine you
But
just sitting there.
Man,
depending
as
on what
a
your-
as
But-
a 17
no.
or 19-year-old.
No, but a
this is
17
what
or
they
19-year-old,
life is.
Exactly, that's what their life. He got paid to do what he did when they signed him and play. Now if he gets traded, he's going to get another opportunity.
No, but they're not completely looking to get paid. They want to play.
Yeah, but
their whole life.
Some of them are.
and they will play. But they will play.
Yeah.
That's the best thing, and we're gonna get into a whole nother conversation.
What's going on with Isaiah Thomas right now?
A young guy that's
What's going on
playing
with Isaiah Thomas
professional
right now?
sports, the
He just
best
playing
thing for
crazy
them
gym.
to have longevity
Hold on, you can't talk over him.
is to sit and learn
Right.
and watch.
And get paid.
That's the what?
There are not a lot of LeBron James and Kobe Bryants that come right out of high school.
I
Kevin
think you should
Garnett.
repeat what you just said.
Yeah,
Go ahead and
For
say
a
it.
young player to make it professionally with longevity, to sit and watch early on.
Is that
Don't go, because a lot of times they go out and they play right away, and then they get exposed to, oh, these are their weaknesses here and there, and then they get pushed to the side to the next thing coming.
Somebody
So that's
said, what's the rush to get into the real world?
Now,
I know that's
ask that
real.
question again.
And
What happened to who?
what was I saying?
Isaiah
Isaiah
Thomas.
Thomas.
What happened to
Yeah.
Isaiah Thomas?
what happened to
Same
Isaiah
thing
Thomas?
he just said.
But what is he doing and what is that doing to him mentally is what I'm trying to say. Like
Mentally-
like everybody like you talking about the sport, right? Talking about their ability. What would be your
mindset.
goal just as a kid, young boys?
Or to tell
To
them?
young,
I just told them.
No, not to tell them, to where they are mentally.
I'm not.
Cause
I'm not following.
because when they come into the sport, they playing. He got drafted, right, and was doing good with the Celtics, right?
Who are we talking about?
Isaiah
Thomas
is
Thomas.
Boston
Okay, that's
Celtics
what you're
now.
talking about.
And
Okay.
then what happened to him?
He was doing good. He got traded.
He got traded.
They got
He
traded.
got hurt. He got hurt in the
He
playoffs.
got hurt.
He got hurt.
Then he got traded. He didn't come back as good as he was before off the injury.
Well,
then Cleveland traded him, and then it's just
Well, what
It's-
really happened, Kyrie Irving went to Boston.
That's what really happened.
That's what really,
That's
see.
what
That's
really
that's my point. So that's what really happened.
I mean,
So mentally,
that's the
I mean,
part of the
but they got
business.
traded for
That's
each
part of the
other.
business.
That's
Right.
part of the
They
business.
got
That's
traded
part of
for
the
each
business.
other.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why I said that a GM, and I've been in professional sports for 18 years, and I don't care if it's CFL, NFL, NBA, WNBA. GMs and organizations are trying to fill those seats to
There
make
you go.
money. That is what them guys are on that court playing for. For them to bring fans so we can sell out. So when it comes down to who they gonna pick, they're gonna pick that guy that's gonna fill them seats and that's gonna put that ball in the basket.
do the young athletes know this?
If they have somebody in their corner or if they're listening tonight,
If they
They-
have somebody
they-
in their corner,
they should.
And most
And that's
times,
what-
and
and
most
that's
times,
what-
what?
They
don't.
don't. And that's why one of the reasons why I came back to the city is to do that. Because right now, I'm the only professional quarterback to make it out of the city of Detroit to play professionally. We have so many athletes that come out of this city.
Facts.
Basketball, football, everything. I'm the only one to ever play professionally quarterback. Why is that? I'm not the most athletic guy to ever come out. I just told you my height and weight and all that.
so why was that?
Because I got it.
On your own?
No, my
Watching.
family, me watching, me sitting for 4 years. I was, man, I want to
Yeah, I
play.
gotta
Man,
take
I'm
that
better than
L.
him. I had somebody tell me, you know what? Chill out. 18 years. But that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm here to talk, to say this.
So his
That's
name
what
was
it-
Markel Spokes. That's what we were talking about
Okay.
from the Boston
So-
Celtics.
Oh, yeah,
Wow.
this is on here, yeah.
Good.
So we.
That's what I was talking about
But
because
see,
I think that's important
no.
because we talked about that, about these young guys, even now, even college, even professionally, having some type of mentorship to know how to handle and how to think and how to sit.
But it's not even just for those athletes, it's for the parents too to understand this is a process, like what are they doing? Because you might have a parent that's thinking about it and the kid don't even have a clue.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not just for the athletes, the parents need to understand the process. Because I'm tell you, when we went down the floor, I was pissed off. You know, you don't even know what you're getting into. And then it didn't even seem like we were competing on the same level. So at that point, it's like we setting our kids up for failure. And I'm like, these kids come out warming up. I'm like, well, they're on the wrong court. I could not wrap my mind around it. You know.
that's just like you say, Florida, for instance. That's just like in football, how the Michigan High School Association, High School Association, is so many stipulations on how far you can travel to play another team and all that, and whether or not you can practice certain times. And they had to build this like 7-on-7 in football, like they did, like they had the AAU for basketball.
Yep.
Because
and
it was our kids.
It wasn't for us.
It's
When
not
they
designed
reclassed,
for us.
it was not for us.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get that very clear. It was not for us. It was so they can compete with us.
Exactly.
What was it for?
You heard that.
No,
No, she was saying that because of a question, a comment. So you heard that.
now listen, I'm gonna touch on like when y'all say younger athletes. You know, for me, I got 2 freshmen starting for me at the point guard, shoot guard position.
And not just because they're your boys.
No,
How about that?
no,
Just
because
still.
only one of them is my son, and the other one, you know what I'm saying, his father can play basketball as well. But I'm saying it's like, okay, when you saying a 19-year-old and a 17-year-old,
Yeah.
and it's not a secret that I tell my players, seniors, juniors, sophomores, if you the same as this freshman, I'm gonna play my freshman. So that means shit'll get off the pot. So I'm saying it's this. When we came down to making the decision this year, and I knew that we had lost like what 6 or 7 seniors last year, I knew I was gonna have to play younger players. You know what I'm saying? Coming in. So I didn't know their maturity level coming in. You know what I'm saying? Literally. One of them was held back and one of them wasn't. Literally. Tell me which one. Can't nobody.
Can't
Can't
tell.
tell.
You can't
You
tell.
don't know.
You don't know.
Unless
You know what I'm saying? Because his maturity level was different coming into the 9th grade, and his was different coming into the 9th grade. But at the same time, he didn't hold his son back. I did. Y'all know. I mean, I can tell you, I held my son back because he wasn't mentally where the other one was at.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all I'm saying is, see, when it comes down to maturity, that's all what it's about. Reclassification about maturity. You know what I'm saying? We ain't talking about body development because everybody built different.
I got a devil's advocate question.
Right.
Is maturity taught from parents, or do you say that maturity is just what the kid gets no matter what you teach? And I'm asking that question specifically because of how I raised Robert.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you maturity. The quicker the mom and dad step back, the more the kid mature.
Yep.
Oh.
Thing.
Good.
That's,
I like
Guess
that.
what?
That's a good
So
answer.
listen, it's so funny you say that, Twig, because I'm going through that right now. So I just was telling the ladies in our meeting that Chauncey, Buddy was the one that told me, Mom, okay, wait, I got it, bag up. And coming from your kid, it's like, wait a minute, wait, who are you talking to? But it has helped them, and it's still hard to do. It's hard to step back, you know, because you don't want them to mess up. You don't want them to do one false move, and boy, we done, you know. But it was the coaches for one at King, and then I kind of started like, whatever they talking about, you my son, and then Chauncey was like, Mom, hold up, like, Mom, no, I got it, you know. So yeah, the more you're right, that statement is accurate. Yeah.
The more you back off, the more.
The more
They
you
gonna
back
become
off,
mature.
So
the
I was
better the
told-
kids mature.
I agree.
One of a lot of our friends here, most of our friends here, he didn't talk to me for a year because he said, you gotta reclass Ma, he's too small to play. Me, I'm a mommy, you're gonna get these grades, we're gonna move to the next grade. That's what you do. You go to school to get grades, your grade point average has to be this for you to move to the next level. I'm not holding you back, we're not moving, this is what it's gonna be.
Bang.
Because
Hit that
I
bang.
instill academics. We gonna work on academics. I'm not gonna tell you have to make grade and then I hold you back. So one of our friends, he fussed and cussed me out really bad. He didn't talk to me for a whole year because I didn't hold my baby back because he's too small. And guess what? It's a whole year later. It's actually 2 years later from when he cussed me out and he still hasn't grown. So that would have been a fail for me, right?
I don't think it would have been a fail if you decided that because it was your
mature.
decision.
He's 60.
Tiff,
So-
you had
He
something to
mad.
say?
He mad
Go ahead.
for the wrong reasons. It's like he wanted to be the because it's not that serious.
I'm
for
gonna make
somebody.
quick. I'm
Yeah.
gonna make it quick because I did the same thing. I reclassed my son at 8th grade, and it was many different reasons. Like I said, I'm a firm believer you have to know your child. I talked to Coach Twig too. I talked to a couple coaches. You have to know your child. So it wasn't. He made the grades. He did good, his grade wise. But testing, I'm like, oh, his testing is, he was a little behind in testing. I talked to deans. I talked to different people. But I feel that you have to do your research on reclass. I don't think it'll hurt. And you don't want to do it, like you said, you don't want to do it for the athletics. If it happens for the athletics, it's a bonus. But at the end of the day, I don't think it can be, it's not a problem.
And you know what? It's going to be a lot of people out there that call BS and say, "Oh, they still doing it for the athletics." That's just what it's going. That's just what it's going to be. But if you know in your mind what you're doing it for, that's a win.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to end up wrapping it up. I do have one question. We're gonna do some shout outs or whatever, but for you, Kevin, for us, speaking on the group, the ladies through the nets podcast, knowing that you used or currently are a business owner, have a couple organizations, you've been in some, you have your own. What advice can you give us? We're just starting off. The key to being successful and staying there. Like, what advice could you give us just starting out?
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for having me on the show. This
thank you
is
for coming.
huge.
Thank you.
Clap it up, snap your fingers, something.
And I know a lot of people that talk about and want to put the podcast together, but for you guys to sit here and do it is huge. And what I would say is never make yourself, the individuals, bigger than the podcast. It's about the podcast, not the individuals. That's how you will be successful. We, and y'all know what I'm talking about, we need to stay together.
Yes.
That's
Good.
That's good.
Yes.
That's good.
Good. But thanks for coming, Twig. We appreciate you for
Yes,
coming,
thank
Kevin.
you.
Thanks for coming.
Don't
We'll
get
get you on some t-shirts. We gotta get them done.
Hold on, babe.
Close it.
Hold on.
You gotta make it
You
quick.
got some clothes?
I just want to know that why we ain't got no guy up through the nets, though.
Because
It's women.
when we say Duncan, we'll call it.
I mean, we single parents too, but not
Because
me.
but we have a show because somebody called in and talked about he's a single dad raising his daughter and she plays basketball.
Facts.
So what you, and then what you do is you get him to recruit other single dads,
Facts.
and then they form their own little
Yes.
group. I like what y'all doing.
Umbrella.
That's cool.
Because it's
Hey.
But then y'all got another.
Umbrella.
Hey.
Y'all call it something
Yeah,
else.
you missing the things,
Y'all
man.
call
I know you ain't talking.
Bigger than basketball, just deep.
The reason why I was
Don't
in
get
it,
mad.
the answer to the question, the reason why there weren't men involved is because when it started, when they were doing the sit downs, when
We
we
was
were
talking
having the
about y'all in
talks,
private.
it was women. It was
No,
all
we
women.
was
And
talking
I
about y'all
told-
in private.
Right, I told the other people we opened up our phone conversations. Y'all were never on a three-way for this. So
And a lot of us in the gym, a lot of the moms is in the gym more than the dads. You know what I mean?
I can't wait for that.
Maybe not at this table.
To be
but in reality.
continued.
All right.
Shout
Shout out to sponsors.
Shout out sponsors.
Okay, so we got to wrap up the show. Next
Oh,
week, come back
to be
for,
continued?
Yeah, next week come back. We're gonna have more reclassification conversations. We'll have 2 more special guests, maybe 3, maybe 5, maybe 1. That'll be next week. Before we leave, we have to shout out our sponsor. We got Horatio Williams, who gives us everything. We got House of Lemonade, who gives us our drinks that I didn't go pick up again. And we got Enjoy Detroit, who sponsors our gear. Who else I'm thinking?
Twig.
We missing Mumford High School.
Oh, we got Mumford High School, who lets us use their facility all the time for anything we want most of the time.
Mustang.
And we got our photographer. Yeah, so we got a lot of sponsors, and we'll see you all next week.
Make sure you
Hey, Heather.
It's bigger than basketball.
Heather's not here.
Heather's not here. Hey, Heather.
So we don't give out no shout out, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You got 10 seconds. You got 10
We
seconds,
ain't got all
buddy.
the shout out to all my AAU guys. You know what I'm saying?
Hey.
4.
Jew,
Three.
Funny, all these guys,
2.
Squirt.
all these guys. I'm
1.
gonna
Your
shout
time
out.
up.
I
Go ahead, Kevin.
just want to give a
5.
shout out to the family at
4.
Becca if they watching.
3.
That's all it.
2.
Nobody else.
1. Okay, your time's up.
Shout out to our viewers.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great feedback.
Tuning in.
And it's on.